You know, there was a very popular studio in the 80s that didn't just make movies that took risks. They made movies that you felt like probably shouldn't exist. Wild concepts, insane budgets, total creative chaos, and somehow they just kept making them. What's going on, guys? I'm Chase with AVA Pop Culture, and today we are diving back into the world of Cannon Films, the most unpredictable, reckless, crazy studio in Hollywood history. And their movies weren't just movies. They were moments when someone said, yeah, let's do it. So today I have the 15 most insane Cannon films ever made. So pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this.
They were considered schlockmeisters.
It's schlock, but they sure do make a lot of it.
The name of the game is to do, not just to blah, 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 blah. Talk about it.
All right, we're going to jump right into the list, but remember, this is the most insane, so not necessarily all the ones that I think are the best, but the ones that are just absolutely crazy. Now, a lot of them are maybe the best, but these have that little edge that makes them just a little bit different, starting with one that nobody talks about. It is the last film that Cannon, as we know them, made. It is Hellbound. Now, Hellbound is from 1994, and it stars Chuck Norris, who is synonymous with Cannon Films. And the setup is this: a Chicago cop ends up chasing a demonic serial killer, but here's the catch: all the way to hell. And that is not metaphorical hell. He literally goes to hell. So if you've ever seen End of Days and you saw cop Arnold Schwarzenegger take on the devil, Chuck Norris did it first. He literally goes to hell. So you've got supernatural murders, religious mythology, Chuck Norris fighting literal demons. And the tone is dead serious about it all. It isn't a parody at all. It is a full-on attempt to blend action movies, Chuck Norris style action movies, with horror, legitimate, demonic, scary horror films, and somehow make it all make sense. And it does. Hellbound comes in at number 15. Now, at number 14, we have another one that is pure slasher insanity. Yes, from Cannon Films early on in America, they were doing slasher, low-budget horror. This one is 1980s New Year's Evil. And the premise on this one is a killer calls into a live New Year's Eve TV broadcast, and he announces he is going to kill someone at midnight in every single time zone. So as the night progresses and each time zone hits midnight, New Year's Eve, the bodies start to pile up. And you've got a punk rock host on this thing, time zone based murders, the whole New Year's clock counting down, a killer taunting the media. It's gimmicky and it's weird. It's exactly the kind of idea that Cannon would jump on, and they did. It still holds up. It's one of the few Cannon films I don't have. I do think there's a Scream Factory Blu-ray out there of it, but if you haven't seen New Year's Evil, it is complete Cannon chaos. It comes in at 14. Now, at number 13 is one that hits different from the chaos angle. It is 1982's The Last American Virgin. And listen, The Last American Virgin feels like a typical teen comedy on the surface. You've got three friends chasing a girl, dealing with high school life, all that usual stuff. But then this one takes a hard, and I mean a hard, Cannon-style turn, because the main character falls for a girl who's involved with someone else, and she ends up pregnant, and he's the only one to help her through it. And the ending, no happy resolution here, no victory, just heartbreaking. That's what makes this one stands out, because it lures you in with comedy, then hits you with something very real. There's very awkward moments. There's a ton of exploitation T&A in here. It's very raunchy, but there's awkward moments with scene cuts from one to another. I'm just going to leave it at that. This one is chaos in a whole other way, but The Last American Virgin is definitely one that is Cannon crazy. Now, at number 12 is one of those other few ones that I don't have because this one is so crazy, it's not that easy to get a hold to. And that is 1984's Bolero, starring Bo Derek. Now, I did some Canon-focused videos a couple of months ago, and I talked about this one a lot. It had to be here because this is Canon's maybe most infamous film, because the plot follows a woman who's traveling around the world seeking the perfect romantic and sexual relationship or experience, actually. And this movie it's got it all, right? It's got exotic location. It's got a tone that's trying to be very prestige. But it's got a whole lot of explicit content. And it's got content from people that, let's just say, shouldn't be doing that kind of content. And the result here is canon insanity, something that feels very disconnected from reality, very dreamlike. And it was a big budget gamble, which makes it even more insane. It shows how far Canon was willing to go. Bolero had to be here. It's at number 12. Now you say, what could beat that? We're all the way down at number 12. How does it get more insane? Don't worry, it does. And I will explain myself. And I got to go no further than number 11 with Breakin. This is where Canon tries to go mainstream in 1984 with a breakdancing movie. Yes, a whole movie about breakdancing. The story follows a young dancer trying to break into the professional world, and she gets pulled into the underground breakdancing scene. I'm trying not to laugh. Listen, this movie was big when I was a kid. We watched it a lot, but when you really talk about it, it's pretty damn insane because you got dance battles, street culture, early hip-hop energy, and what makes it wild is how Canon jumped on this trend. This wasn't something they built slowly. They saw it and then immediately ran out and made a movie before anyone else could. And somehow it totally worked. Breakin', it even got a sequel to it, and that's Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo. That's a whole other story. Breakin' set it all up, though, so it comes in at number 11. Now, remember how I said that just because these movies were insane didn't mean they weren't movies that I loved or that they weren't good movies. Number 10 is an example of that. It's 1986's Cobra. Now, I've often been asked as a filmmaker, if you could do a sequel to any movie out there that didn't have a sequel, what would it be? Cobra is usually one of my top answers because I think it could have had a great franchise. I really do. But it is also peak Canon insanity energy. You've got Cobra, and that is played by the great Sylvester Stallone. He is a rogue cop, part of the zombie squad, whatever the hell that is. And he takes on a cult-like organization of killers known as the New World. Maybe he was foreshadowing some stuff, because a lot of this stuff was stuff that Stallone had written because he was supposed to be in Beverly Hills Cop. He wanted to take it this way. This is a lot of his own stuff, and this movie is about style, violence, attitude. It is basically a slasher horror mixed up with a detective drama and thrown in some of that 80s like sizzle, neon lights, montages, all of that stuff. Stallone cutting pizza with scissors, because that's how you cut carbs, baby. Brutal shootouts under neon Pepsi lights. Crazy supermarket showdowns, a villain and a group of villains that feel apocalyptic. It's excessive, ridiculous, very cool cinematically, completely unforgettable, infinitely rewatchable, but absolutely canon insanity is Cobra. Now at number 9 is one of my horror movie takes that always gets me grilled. As a horror filmmaker and person who does this and all of that, I've got to tell you that 1986's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 by Canon Films is a movie that I enjoy better than the legendary original, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So if you imagine what Canon does here with Tobe Hooper, who directed the original, they take one of the grimiest, sweatiest, realest sort of movies ever made, and they turn it into something loud, colorful, and absolutely insane with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. More gore, more humor, more chaos. We've got chainsaw duels, Dennis Hopper going full revenge mode. You've got Carolyn Williams as the late night DJ, which I love in horror movies. Leatherface turned into almost something tragic is a complete tonal shift. And you got my friend Bill Moseley in here as Chop Top, really kind of kicking off his career in a big way as part of the family. This somehow works. It commits to the insanity the whole way, and that's why it became legendary. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, more canon chaos. Now, number 8 is one I don't have yet, but it just got a 4K release of it. It is 10 to Midnight.
When there is no justice, this man is the law. 10 to Midnight. Charles Bronson.
This is Cannon doing gritty crime, weird, sort of almost forerunner slightly to American Psycho in a way, I could argue. But you have Charles Bronson in this movie, and it follows a serial killer who stalks and murders women while completely naked. He's naked, not them, which is already insane. And Bronson plays a cop willing to bend every single rule, bend, break, shatter, destroy every single rule to get him. And you've got brutal kills, tense, like sort of cat and mouse sequences that they do here. The classic Bronson, I don't care about procedure attitude to this one. It's dark, it's uncomfortable. Naked killers running around. It's very much a product of its time. It is very exploitative. All of that makes it canon cheese, canon chaos, and it's pretty awesome. So check out 10 to Midnight. Now at number 7, we have one that is pure canon, tried and true formula, mostly. It is American Ninja 2. Now, this one's from 1987, and I could have the original on here. They made several of these. Cannon brought the ninja energy big time on here, but you have a soldier trained in ninjutsu who takes on a criminal organization that's experimenting with humans to create super ninjas, and they basically create like zombie ninjas, and that's the plot. And the movie delivers exactly what you would expect. It's martial arts fights, explosions, training sequences. It's ridiculous. It is completely sincere, however. It is not like tongue-in-cheek. It's like, yeah, what if there were like ninja super soldiers that basically were almost like zombie ninja super soldiers, and we had this badass ninja over here that's a good guy to fight them. Boom, slap a sticker on it. It's American Ninja 2. It's absolutely crazy, and that's why it's here at number 7. Now, number 6 is another Charles Bronson canon movie. So listen, Charles Bronson and Chuck Norris were synonymous with canon films, and then later Stallone came in too. But it was those two guys. So it was like, which movie was for Chuck and which one was for the other Chuck? Well, Death Wish 3, which also just got a 4K, was for Charles Bronson, that Chuck, in 1985. And this one went completely off the rails. Charles Bronson returns in Death Wish 3 here, and this time he basically declares war on crime. Just crime in general. Just crime. It's going to be him versus crime, all the crime. And you've got rocket launchers, booby traps, street gangs being completely wiped out. At one point, it feels like just crazy movie. And then later, it feels like this absolutely nuts movie that's more like a full-on like urban war zone type of thing. This is vigilante justice turned up to not even 11. It's turned up to cartoon levels, which is why it's this high on this list, because it's impossible to take it seriously because it's so hyper over the top. And that's synonymous with canon. So for that reason, Death Wish 3 is at number 6.
Lincoln Hawks has a long road to travel.
Welcome to the Arm Wrestling World Championship competition.
He's a man who's never beaten the odds.
Now, number 5 is this high, not because it's kind of turned up like some of these other movies are crazy in some ways. It's crazy in a different way. This one's played very sincere. It's 1987's Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone. And what's crazy here is, you got to admit, it's the premise, but I love this movie and it's done well. It's taken seriously. Stallone plays a truck driver who's also a competitive arm wrestler who, he's got the over the top move. And yes, there is a national arm wrestling tournament that Cannon sort of co-opted and helped create and became a part of for this movie. But the movie also is a big father-son movie. It's about father-son relationships, redemption, true, organic, natural, non-toxic in any way, because there is no such thing, masculinity. And somehow it treats arm wrestling like the Super Bowl and the World Series and all of that wrapped up into one. And you could say that's ridiculous, but it's completely sincere. It commits to it so hard, you cannot help but buy into it. Kenny Loggins doing some heavy lifting with the soundtrack. Meet Me Halfway Across the Sky. Hit it over the top in slow-mo. All of that. Arm wrestling for child custody is what you have in Over the Top. And I absolutely love it. As a father with a son, you got to give the nod to this kind of canon chaos. Absolute insanity in the best way, because it's over the top. Now, at number 4, we have, admittedly, one of the most ambitious and maybe weirdest change-on-the-fly adaptations ever. It's 1987's Masters of the Universe. He-Man vs. Skeletor. We're going to bring it to life. We've got the cartoons, we've got the toys, we've got everything we need. We got Dolph Lundgren in here, and he's coming off of Rocky 4 and all this, and we're going to rock it. But yeah, we don't have any more budget, so we're going to leave Eternia and set this thing on Earth. And you have Dolph Lundgren as He-Man, and you have Frank Langella in here absolutely stealing this movie, giving a legitimate, like, award-worthy acting performance as Skeletor. You have a mix of fantasy and sci-fi that never quite lines up. You've got the writer kind of throwing in, he was a vegetarian apparently, and he threw in like some agenda on not eating meat and just crazy stuff. You got a young Courtney Cox in this movie. But what's fascinating is how hard they try. It's trying to be something massive, but you can feel the limitations. Everything got cut down from what they wanted to do, and you feel it in every single scene. And for that reason, it just gets knocked down. But man, there was so much there, but it has so much heart and try hard to it. And growing up, I was like 8 when this came out. It was still He-Man and Skeletor, and Frank Langella, amazing as Skeletor. And I'll hear no argument against it, but it has a special place in my heart for this kind of chaos is He-Man, because I have the power. Now, at number 3, we have Cannon going full on, like, just mythic chaos levels with the late, great Chuck Norris in Invasion USA. And I love this movie.
If you come back in here, I'm going to hit you with so many rights, you're going to beg for a laugh.
It is, part of it was filmed here when I was a kid here in Georgia at the Avondale Mall, all that. I dug it. I knew all those stories, and the plot of this thing, because this is coming out right out of 1985, America, hell yeah, we're going to fight off everybody. You have a group of terrorists who invade the United States and start causing chaos across the country, though there's very few of them to do that. But you've got Chuck Norris to stop them. Forget the rest of the military. We don't need them. We have basically a mythic terror to bad guys here with Chuck Norris. He's going to hit you with so many rights, you're going to beg for a left on this. But he's basically a one-man army. You've got missile attacks, explosions everywhere, Chuck Norris silently taking everyone out. You have real houses near the Atlanta airport being exploded because they were going to get destroyed anyway to expand the airport. You have the Avondale Mall here, literally parts of it being actually destroyed because they were going to expand and build onto it anyway. It's over the top, ridiculous. You could call it America Hell Yeah propaganda, but what's wrong with loving your country and having a pro your country attitude? Absolutely nothing. Cannon knew that. Chuck Norris knew that. It's all wrapped up in Invasion USA, and it is completely crazy and completely entertaining. And at number 2 is one I've talked about on this channel in a few different videos, and I just love this movie. But man, when you want to talk about insane films, it's hard not to have this at number 1, because this might be the most insane premise on this list if number 1 didn't exist, and that is Ninja 3, The Domination.
He is the most feared and powerful warrior. His soul possesses the body of an innocent woman and transforms her into a lethal assassin. An epic struggle of superhuman strength and supernatural forces. Ninja 3, The Domination.
This is from 1984, Lucinda Dickey starring in here, and she is a female line worker, a telephone line worker, who is also an aerobics instructor professionally, and she becomes possessed by the spirit of an evil dead ninja. And that is not even the wildest part, because in this movie you get exorcism scenes, you get TNA, you get sex scenes, you get laser fights, you get possessed arcade games, boom boxes, ninja swords floating and being possessed, the ninja using the actual arcade game to communicate. It is crazy. It's like martial arts and horror and supernatural chaos. It's like The Exorcist was invited to a ninja movie with a side of sex comedy. It is absolute crazy that it all exists in one movie, but it absolutely does. It doesn't get more 80s and crazy than this. Ninja 3, The Domination, an absolute neon-soaked, crazy, ridiculous blast with Sho Kazuki showing up as the good ninja to set things right. Check it out. You will absolutely shake your head and love it the whole time. And at number 1, that would be number 1 if 1985's Lifeforce did not exist. But Lifeforce does exist, and this is canon at its absolute peak of insanity. And the setup is this: astronauts discover a spacecraft filled with humanoid aliens, basically in Halley's Comet, right? And they turn out to be energy-sucking vampires. They literally suck your life force out. So what do? Of course, they bring them back to Earth, because why wouldn't you? Because you have Matilda May as one of them, and she's beautiful and completely naked, and they don't care if she's going to suck your life force out because she looks like naked Matilda May. And they bring her back, and that's when everything goes off the rails, because you've got space horror, vampirism, you've got apocalypse level destruction, and yes, a completely nude alien vampire walking throughout the entire movie. And beyond that, you had a massive budget. I'm talking about a budget bigger than Star Wars. A serious director, Tobe Hooper, and absolutely no restraint. It's epic, it's chaotic, it's bizarre. It basically bankrupted canon. It feels like it came from another planet in all the right ways. I love this movie. I have the Arrow copy on 4K. I have this massive box set, and I have the Scream Factory 4K. This movie is such ridiculous fun. You cannot help but love it, but it is peak canon insanity, and that's why Lifeforce comes in at number 1. The truth is, canon films didn't play it safe. That's what made them so ubiquitous. They were everywhere. People loved them. If you saw that Canon logo, you knew you were in for a good time and to be entertained no matter what. They chased trends, they jumped on them, they caught them, they turned them into something completely insane. And maybe a lot of the movies didn't make sense in a traditional way. None of them would get made today because everybody's too uptight. But you know what? Maybe they didn't even work at the time. You just enjoyed them because of the crazy entertainment and you never forgot them. And that's why we still talk about them today. I love Cannon films. And I hope you loved this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. That really helps out the channel here. And if you enjoy what we're doing, you want to help a little more, you can join my Patreon. The link is in the description. You'll get your name and lights on every video. Behind the scenes looks at my filmmaking, special members only videos, physical media, deep dives and reviews, all of this kind of stuff. All of that from a working filmmaker. We're getting ready to turn the page as I record this video to a couple of weeks of halfway to Halloween horror and Halloween focused content. So if you're down for that kind of fun, halfway to Halloween stuff, make sure you stick around and share the videos and become part of the pop culture family. And that's what I got for you this time. And until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. Bye now.